Please join me in welcoming Morit Summers. Morit has been a personal trainer since 2007, defying industry standards with her abilities and inclusive approach. She holds a BS degree in exercise science and kinesiology, along with various certifications, including NSCA Certified Personal Training. Morit began her career at the State University of New York at Cortland. Afterwards, at Equinox Fitness, she progressed to a Tier 3 trainer and taught incoming classes of new personal trainers. In 2016, she launched her own business, Morit Summers Personal Training. She is also co-founder and owner of Form Fitness Brooklyn, established in 2018. Clients range from individuals just beginning their fitness journey to seasoned athletes. In addition to personal training, Morit is the author of Big and Bold, Strength Training for the Plus-Size Woman. She is an expert fitness consultant and has been featured in Shape, Health, and Fab Plus magazine, on Good Day New York, on various health and fitness podcasts, and in campaigns including TRX, Lululemon, and many more. Join me and welcome Morit to the show. Welcome, Morit. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I hope you've been having an amazing day.
It's beautiful outside. So, yes. How about you?
Not bad. Not bad. So I'm ready to hop right into it. Welcome to Wellness Redefined.
Awesome.
So,
I'm excited to be here.
yes. Now, I start every interview with the same question. Tell us about when you first fell in love with health and wellness.
Um, my first moment of love was when I joined a gym at the age of 14. And I was able to work out in the gym with a trainer and by myself, but not surrounded by my peers. And I really started to find movement in a way that wasn't forced, like in gym class. That was my first time, but I've had many ups and downs with wellness and fitness. And, right now we're in love again. So,
Now, talk us through the journey. Like over the years, what's been going on?
I'm 36. So there's lots of years, lots of journeys. Cause again, I started at 14. Um, but, at my younger ages, it was always about weight loss and trying to fit in and, doing all the cardio. Um, and then in my later years, in my more current years, I've really transitioned that thought process and mindset and movement into my capabilities and my wants for health and longevity and wellness. And just understanding that goals, my goals do not have to be defined around what society's goals are. I can be happy and healthy for myself, and that's different than what we're taught at younger ages.
Mm. Now, what made this shift for you? How did you get here? Like, it's a lot of us still on this journey, still stuck in, trying to figure out how to make it in this wellness journey. Like, what made that shift for you, that mental shift?
I think I spent so much time in the weight loss headspace and I need to do all of these things to fit in with everybody else and what I'm supposed to look like because I'm a personal trainer and if you work in the wellness space, you're supposed to look like a fitness professional, right? Um, and so I spent so much time and energy on that. And it was truly toxic and, every diet possible, none of that was healthy. Um, and so I actually because of social media was starting to become introduced to what the realm of body positivity was. And I actually got introduced to I knew a couple plus size models and then I got introduced to Ashley Graham. And so I don't remember what year this was, but probably 2015, 16. Um, and I started to realize that there was just more to me, right? Not even the fitness space, but that I was this plus size woman and I just put quotes in the air. I was this plus size woman and I just say quotes because I didn't really, even though I knew I was fat and what didn't look like everybody else, I didn't totally understand what being a plus size person was. Um, and so I was being told, "Oh, well, like, you're so capable and you do all these things and you're plus size and, like, people are gonna look up to that." And I was like, "I don't what?" I was so confused by it. Um, but because of those thoughts from others, I actually started to be able to, like, shift my own mindset around it. Um, and I also, like, all at the same time found CrossFit and powerlifting. So it was kind of like the voices in my head slash the movement in my body were set all changing at the same time. And so I was able to be like, "Oh, well, like, look how capable I am, even in the body that I'm in now. Why do I need to lose weight? Why do I need to fit in?" You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you said something very interesting. You were like, "Well, I work in the fitness space, so I should look like a fitness professional." Now, what does that mean? Like, break it down for those people who are like, "Well, if you have a body and you move it, then you're in the fitness space." But tell us what that really means when you're in the industry.
Well, I think most of us truly know what that really means, right? But, uh, or at least what we all or at least what I thought it meant, right? Which is like the cover of Women's Health or the cover of Shape Magazine or the cover of whatever are women that weigh less than 150 pounds with six pack abs and really toned and defined muscles. Um, and all of the people that I worked with looked like that too. So, like, why wouldn't I think I should look exactly like that? Right?
Yeah.
Why? But the other question is, why would I ever think I would weigh something like 150 pounds when I came out the womb 199? Right? What? So, um, I there's still we still see, and even now in 2023, with so much progress being made, not just with like body types, but all right, like all sorts of things. We still see the same thing over and over and over again. And when you walk into gyms and when you look at the magazine covers, it is so rare to see diversity still in 2023. That doesn't make sense. But
Yeah.
none of us look the same. None of us look the same. And I
No.
think that that's the thing that matters more.
Yeah. Well, that takes us to my next question. So, in this industry, you've been around for a while now. You've seen it all from personal training, from group fitness, and you've done all the things. You have all the certifications in the world. So, what do you think is that one myth or untruth that is really out there, plaguing society and keeping people back?
I mean, I do. I think that like if you're fat, you're unhealthy is like the big quote unquote like myth that uh we need to get over. Right. Um every person has well, let me rephrase. Many people have fat on their bodies, right? Like whether it's a little bit of fat or a lot of fat, people have fat on their bodies. We need fat to survive. Um just because some of us have more fat than others does not mean that we are unhealthy. And by you looking at me, you do not get to decide anything for me. You do not get to decide that if my blood pressure is good, if my cholesterol is good, if I have diabetes, right, like if I have a autoimmune disease, if I have, like, the list could go on and on and on. And so this concept of essentially it's fat phobia, yes, is in the fitness space, but is in every space.
Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned to me that, only 23% of Americans are actually even just getting their daily recommended movement, like,
Yep.
or just doing any kind of movement in it.
Yep.
So that really says something about how we're marketing fitness and movement, right? We're making it very elite and very niche for
Mhm.
people. How do you think we can improve this?
Absolutely, yeah, the 23 I actually just recently found that out, like, that percentage, and I was like I actually think I was a little bit shocked even though I don't think I should be, because we're not just talking 23% of people, like, lift weights, we're talking
Yeah.
only 23% of people get their allotted movement, right? Which could just be walking, and so, like, there's a big problem with that. And I think if we are going to talk a little more specifically to maybe the gym, but I guess in general, if we constantly are telling people you have to look a certain way, you have to do this, right? Like this exercise makes, you know, you better, right? You've now scared off a million people,
Yeah.
right? There's too much, um, there's almost, well, you know this, I know this, right? There's like too much advice out there, right?
Yes.
There just is. The internet creates this amazing place and also like a really terrifying place. There's way too much advice out there. I just want people to get up and move their bodies in whatever way they want to move. Walking is one of the most simple movements we can do, right? We don't need anything. We just need the body that we're given and the street outside. So I hope more people just start moving their bodies. And I think that we need to stop judging. We need to stop over giving advice. Like my favorite example, I don't know if you're on like this side of like TikTok and Instagram, but there in the powerlifting world and in the lifting world, there's like regular deadlift and sumo deadlift, right?
Mhm.
And everyone is constantly bashing on the sumo deadlift. It's not real. It's not good for you. It doesn't work the things you think it works. Why do you care? Just let people do the deadlift that works for them. Because if you constantly, not you, right? If the people on the interwebs are constantly saying, don't do the sumo deadlift because blah, blah, blah. Well, you might have just scared off a whole bunch of people from doing any movement. That's problematic.
No, you brought up an excellent point. Like the internet has gone crazy with advice, right? And the interesting thing is, this advice is coming from that place of, again, looking at someone and thinking that you are suddenly now a doctor and can prescribe
Mhm.
what's best for them, or looking at them and just suddenly knowing that you know more about their body than they do, or
Right.
knowing that
Right.
what kind of health they are actually in, because looking at a person does not indicate any of that information. And sadly, we all see it in the internet comments. Like everyone's an expert. Suddenly, we've
Everyone's an
gone no,
expert.
everyone's an expert. No one's an actual trader. No one's actually done any of
Nope.
these things, but they're an expert.
Yep.
And so, knowing that, like, what would you say to people who are out there who are just trying to get started in their movement, who probably have seen all these comments, or a little shy from getting started?
Absolutely. Um, eh, I wish that I could just give like really simple advice, which would just be to try, right? Um, if you want to do a squat or you want to go for a walk, just try it and see what happens. I do think the like more important advice would be to maybe find either an internet source that like feels right to you. So if you're like, I want to do these workouts and I look up I look stuff up. Let's say you're a young plus size woman, right? Like if I'm talking about my audience and I look up, you know, blah, 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 blah workout and some like really muscular bodybuilder dude with no shirt on shows up. Maybe that's not the one that you go for, right? Um, maybe you look me up. Haha. No, I'm just kidding. Right.
No, that's an
But
excellent point. You should look for
right.
someone who represents
Or
you.
someone that makes you feel some version of safe,
Yeah.
right? Because we shouldn't be going from like, I don't know what I'm doing to feeling unsafe. And so like that's for sure like one piece of the puzzle if we're going the internet route. I think the live route is also a beautiful thing. Like join the gym, find a trainer, join the cycling studio, like join the community that like hopefully you walk into and feel amazing at and like
Yeah.
probably a little scared, but find the place you feel good at. And if you don't feel amazing at that place, or maybe let's say the gym wasn't for them, but cycling is, right? Like keep trying and don't be afraid to try. Um, at the end of the day, even though there is a lot of negative, toxic, like fitness thoughts and behaviors. Many, many, many people get into fitness to help people,
Yeah.
and sometimes it doesn't come out the way that, like, I wish it did, but that doesn't mean that, like, deep down somewhere we can find that.
Yeah, and you mentioned something interesting. So, I get it a lot and just being teaching classes and stuff that people are always like, "Well, I'm scared to try." Like,
Mhm.
I think people haven't realized that that is a natural response. Like, we
Absolutely.
are all scared to try. We're all scared to try anything new. So, what do you say to someone who's coming in? They're plus size. They're walking in a room, and maybe everyone else is not. Like,
Right.
what do you normally do to kind of bring them some level of comfort?
Right. I mean, I do wanna point out that I don't think that, like, being afraid has anything to do with plus size, right? Like, any
Yeah.
beginner is potentially afraid of the situation. I think if we're speaking on the plus side of things, it could be that if you walk into a space and no one else, like, has the same body type, that's for sure scary. But I love what you about, like, at some point, we just have to realize that, like, being scared is totally normal. So I think that's completely right. Like,
Yeah.
anything you do new, whether it's start a job or a fitness routine, is
It's
scary, and if
scary.
you
Yeah.
think you're not gonna be, like, stressed and nervous and all of that, that's a little strange.
Yeah.
Um, uh, uh, what was your I don't even remember what your question was because I like
Well,
that question.
it was kind of a 2 point, right? So you walk
Yeah,
in a room and
right,
no one is giving you the representation you need. How do you get
right,
past that? But then
right,
2, like getting past that fear, which everyone has. It's amazing to me. Every single first timer that walks into my cycling class is like, I'm scared. No matter
right,
what fit they could have just finished running a marathon, but because they're doing
right,
something different, they're scared. Everyone has this fear, but it's like, how do you coax them into first accepting that this fear is normal? And 2,
right,
how do we get past it and know that on the other side of fear is this amazing movement that they're about to have and experience, and they're gonna, find something on the other
right.
side of it.
So I talk a lot about adjusting for yourself and, like, let's say it's a cycling class. I would hope that the beginner, the person that walks in, one of the things that they can do is go to the instructor and say, "This is my first time ever,
Mhm.
and I am scared," or "This is my first time ever, and I have never done this before," right? Like, really kind of giving away the thing that you are afraid of, right? Like, just saying it out loud. And in that case, hopefully the instructor understands. And by the way, this doesn't have to be cycling, this could be anything, right? Hopefully, the instructor will understand and either be able to help with modifications or not give the person shit if they are going slower than everybody else,
Yeah.
right? Because that's okay. And if you really looked around the room, you are not the only one going slower, right? It's just, you're just
Mm,
not.
yeah. Well,
In
also,
terms, yeah,
people forget it's not to look around to compare yourself against
mhm,
everyone, but just recognize that everyone in there is solely focused on themselves and just trying to
yes,
get through this workout. That you don't realize that, oh, well, she may be doing great at this one exercise, but just a minute ago she was taking
right,
about a 5-minute water break, or this
right,
person beside you is just like, I'm going to add these modifications anyway without the
right.
instructor giving, like, so everyone in there is making their adjustments, and you have the breath and the leeway to do it yourself, to make the adjustment, make the
Exactly. And like,
modifications.
I always, like, joke, I'm like, "You're an adult, you make your own decisions," right? So, like, if the instructor's, like, dropping, "Give me 10 burpees," and you decide that that is not for you, that's not for you.
Yeah.
Do some squats or just, like, touch the floor and stand back up. I don't know, do what you decide you wanna do, and by the way, if the instructor fights you on that, that's not the place for you. It's
Right.
just not, and that's okay, but, like, stand up for yourself, right? So, I think,
Yeah.
again, you're an adult. Right? You're an adult, do what's right for you, make your own decisions, stand up for yourself. Again, give pre-warning if you feel that pre-warning is the thing that is gonna help. I think that's the thing that's gonna help most people. And then in terms of the, like, body diversity and walking in and not seeing yourself represented, you know, there are what we know, 67% of women are above a size 16 in the US. So, like, likely you're gonna see somebody else that does have a similar body type. You may not, it's very possible, but, like, You're not there for them. You're there for you. And the body type has nothing to do with like the movement. What I will say is, and this is the comment that I get the most in terms of like why people follow me, it's like, I love to watch you do this thing because I see the way your body can do it and your body's similar to mine. So I know I can do it too. So I get that, but we know that not everyone is a plus size instructor. So I think again, with time, you learn to make the modifications for your own body. I'll
Yes.
give a very simple example, but like a squat. If you're a bigger person, not just plus size, if you're just like a big person, you may need to have a bit of a wider stance. You may need to make space for your belly. You may not, but you might, and that's okay. And
Yeah.
an instructor who has never lived through that may not even know that themselves. By the way, they could read my book.
Go ahead
All
and
the
tell them about it.
instructors
Yes.
all instructors can read my book and get an understanding that not everyone is built the same, just saying.
As they should, though, because I mean, again, this is also knowing the depth of your instructors, right? So this is why I always tell people when you're looking for an instructor, if they can't provide adequate modifications for the whole room, right?
Yep,
Without speaking directly to you. But if you tell them something's going on, they should be able to speak directly to you. But many times, most people I found won't tell me anything. And then after
right.
class, they'll be like, oh, I just had knee surgery. And I'm like, that sounds like something you should have told me. But
Yep, yep,
but we know what it's like to when the instructor says, is there anything I need to know about? You don't want to be the one raising your hand. So if you don't want to
right,
be the person raising your hand, the things you can look for when going into a space is this instructor finding different movements for all types of people in the room, right? Are they just
right,
go ahead and giving you modifications without having to ask for it? Are they
right,
giving you the nod if you're making your own modifications? And sometimes they'll you see someone just making a modification, you give them a thumbs up anyway and keep moving on.
right.
But if they're making you feel out of place or making you feel like you're not doing something correctly because you've made a modification for yourself, that is not your space.
No,
Um,
yeah, no, no.
no,
I'm like,
no.
it's so funny. I'm so passionate about that thought process that I'm like ready to fight for people. I'm like, let's go, like knuckles up. Like, it makes me so upset that that's like a thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
Oh man.
It's crazy because, of course, we have to feel comfortable in these spaces, or we won't do it again.
Yeah,
And the
exactly.
goal is for movement.
Exactly. Exactly, exactly. And and again, like if there's a sun version of a class, I don't know, let's go with yoga for a second. If if it's a small business, right? And you want to have people joining your small business, you probably should offer different levels, right? You or even I mean, even a big business should offer different levels, but you know, um, and so again, if you're the person who is a beginner, look for the beginner class, right? And we talked about the internet before and it being too much, but I also think the beauty of the internet is being able to really look online ahead of time and find the places that like you do see people that look like you, right? And you
Yeah.
do see that there's like diversity within all versions of it. And if you're feeling represented within, you know, not even yes, like, if you feel represented, but if you also maybe see that this person was able to get through something, you might then be like, "Oh, okay, I
Yeah.
got this," And
Yeah.
I also just wanna say, like, yes, if you don't feel comfortable raising your hand in class when the instructor asks the question, you should have been there early, and you tell the
Yes.
instructor privately.
I know. Listen, as two gym owners, how I'm
Yeah.
like, "Well,
Well,
telling
and
me
what's
at the end
funny
of class
is
is not helpful."
no. But you know what's so funny too? Like you do the classes so you don't get the one-on-one in the same way. I get the one-on-one and people still hold back stuff. And I'm like, holding back doesn't help you.
No.
It doesn't
No.
help you.
No.
Let us know.
And let us know. I mean, that is literally our whole mission is to make sure you feel comfortable through this whole workout, this whole programming.
Exactly.
And and I recognize that there's fear on the other side of that, but we got to get past it.
Yeah.
That's how we find our wellness journey.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
how we redefine wellness for ourselves.
Very true.
So tell us, what workouts are you doing now?
Oh, man. Okay, so I'm dealing with some back injury stuff that is super frustrating, and, I have all the thoughts about it. But right now I'm lifting 4 times a week at a very in kind of a bodybuilder style, which just means like, I'm doing upper body days and lower body days, and it's just general strength training, with a lot of like rehab thrown in there. And then I've started swimming once a week, and I'm doing yoga once a week. And then on my 7th day, I do some version of cardio. So like I've recently been doing some hill runs. Um, so yeah, I'm feeling very well rounded right now because I go through phases where like I just want to lift everything and I don't even want to stretch. But I definitely need to be moving more in terms of like, I've learned this about myself. I need to move every day. I need to move 7 days a week to feel my best. But I also don't need to go 100% 7 days a week. So I've definitely been going through my like, I'm not accepting of the fact that like age is a thing because I don't, right? Like I'm in the mentality that I could be 21 forever. But, like, my
Yeah.
body maybe can't be in the same way that I want it to be.
That's awesome. That's an amazing schedule.
Yeah. No, it's good. I'm definitely happy with it.
Oh, I gotta get on your plan because I'm the same with you. I find one thing I love and then I go hard for a month and then I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, now let me go do something else. And then I come back 2 months. It's like instead of mixing, which I think a lot of people do. I see it in my clients as well. Like
Yeah.
I see them every day for like 3 months and then they disappear because they burnt themselves out in cycling. And
Right.
I want you to
Right.
mix and mingle here. Mix and mingle.
Yeah. I talk a lot about, I'm obviously a big believer in strength training, right? I think there's a ton of positive benefits to strength training. I also personally just love it. I could lift weights every single moment of the day and be okay with it. But, um I have a lot of clients that either go to Pilates or yoga or they run or they go to cycling. And I think that's amazing. But I do think there needs to be like a balance between all of the things,
All the
right?
things. Yep.
If you just cycle 7 days a week, you're going to have some really big problems, right? You're going to have some serious overuse injury within your hips and your knees and all, and
Mm-hmm.
your neck. Like there's going to be stuff. And if you only lift twice a week and you do nothing else, you're also going to have problems because you're not moving enough, right? So there is balance that we need to find. And then I want to like take away everything I just said, right? Because again, we talked about the 23%. Do whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
If you
Just
don't want to
move.
follow the
Just move.
rules, don't follow the rules. Just move.
Just move. For
Exactly.
the 70% that's out there,
Yes,
we want you to just move. For the
exactly.
23% that's moving, we now want you to find some
Yeah,
diversity in your movement.
exactly. Exactly.
Awesome. Well, this has been amazing. Thank you for sharing your journey with us. Thanks for helping us dispel some myths. Let us know, how can we find you? How can we follow up after this?
Awesome. Instagram is for sure a place I live. No, Morit Summers on Instagram. The gym that I own and founded with my partner Francine is Form Fitness Brooklyn. We have an Instagram as well. I'm trying to be on TikTok a little bit. If you want to go play on TikTok, I think it's Morit Summers 22 on TikTok. Yeah, otherwise and I don't know if you mentioned that I wrote a book, but
Yeah,
if you
let
wanna
us
read
know.
my
Where
book
do we
and
find it?
support, it's on Amazon. It's called Big and Bold Strength Training for the Plus Size Woman. It does not have to just be for plus size women. That was just kind of like the niche market in terms of the title, but it is for everybody.
Yeah.
It's a beginner's guide. And, Amazon and also on humankinetics.com, I believe. But yeah, those are the places that you can find me. And yeah, and I'm happy to answer questions, like DM me if you have questions or comments on my posts. I try to like be interactive.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait. And that book isn't just for, it's for trainers too, so we can know how to do
Yes.
our jobs
Yeah,
effectively.
exactly. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
awesome. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for helping us dispel these myths.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Wellness Redefined. If you want to learn more about our guest, Morit, please check out links in the show notes. We'd love to know your thoughts on wellness. Connect with us on Instagram. Our handle is Wellness Redefined. Or visit our website at harlem-cycle.com. Thanks again for listening. If you like what you hear, please share with a friend. We'll be back next time with more on Wellness Redefined. Until then, I'm Tamika Rochester. Take care.